Okay, so hi, good evening, guys. How are you?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good
How
evening.
are you? Doing good.
Great. And just at the onset, I mean, I know you must have been tired of it, but still reiterating many congratulations on converting Holy Trinity. I mean, even saying it is such a sigh. I really don't know how you both are feeling. But what we want during the course of this conversation is to give people a glimpse of the prep that you've done, probably the things that you've kept in mind, and also in terms of your interview experience and way forward. So we'll keep it free flowing. Please pitch in, come in whenever you feel that something's amiss. I'll try and add a little structure by kind of pointing the question to someone, but feel free to add in and jump in whenever needed. Yeah, great,
Sure, ma'am.
great. So I think beginning is the right place to be, and just would want a sense from you, Rohit, in terms of what got you thinking to do CAT. Why did you want to write it? What was going in your mind?
Yeah. Ma'am, I think I thought about pursuing an MBA in 2019 during the lockdown. So, just before the lockdown, that is when I was like, okay, maybe I should pursue some higher education, maybe an MS or an MBA. So
Mm-hmm.
during the lockdown, I had a time where we were absolutely doing nothing. So we had a lot of time to, think about what I actually want in life. So that is when I
Correct.
understood MS is not what something I would enjoy. Rather, I would, be able to do much better in the business side. So that is when I decided, okay, I should pursue an MBA, and maybe I should, I thought about options. So I had two options: either going abroad or taking the CAT. So for me as a person, I thought I'd be happier here than going abroad. So yeah, that is when I decided, okay, I'll give CAT.
Huh. And so, in terms of preparation, anything specific that you kind of followed or you did, or something that you kind of kept in mind?
So for me, I actually decided to write the exam around November. So I had a lot of time with me, like the into 2020 November. So I had like almost 1 year to prepare. So what I
Hmm.
primarily focused was I actually didn't join for any coaching as such. I don't suggest it, but yeah, it was something because I had a lot of time. I thought I'll try out once because that was the first time I was giving CAT. So what I focused on was I actually tried to reduce the number of things that I would study from or resources that I would study from. So I kept it very minimal. So my quantitative preparation was primarily from Arun Sharma textbook, and then
Hmm.
my LRDI was a few YouTube playlists that I had, and my verbal was I was reading as much as I could from Aeon essays and stuff like that. So yeah, that was I didn't have a specific direction, but yeah, trial and error. I figured out some things that work for me, and then yeah, took it to the end.
So, and Anchika, how about you? What was your secret ingredient into getting a percentile that gets you calls from all the three?
So, ma'am, there was no secret ingredient as such, but one thing that I always kept in mind was to increase the accuracy rather than having a lot of attempts and going
Mhm.
negative. Apart from that, I thoroughly focused on clearing the concepts. Like there were certain topics in quant which required me to be thorough with the basics. So I first focused on that, and secondly, then I focused on mock tests. I tried to revise every test that I gave so that I get a fair amount of idea of the exam pattern, as well as I do not make the same mistakes that I did in the mocks. Another thing that I was pretty much careful about was that while solving the mocks, I used to do it very properly. Like I mentioned the question number in the rough sheet itself, so that I can always go back and refer to the actual solution and see where did I make a mistake or what different approach could have been taken. So these were simple tricks that pretty much helped me. Apart from that, I think Rohit pretty much covered it all. So yeah, it was on
Mhm.
similar lines itself.
So a common thread that is kind of coming through in your conversations is that it's probably not the quantum of effort that you're putting in, but kind of finding a way to work around smartly. And whatever that you're doing, ensure that you do that really well. I mean, in terms of either attempting and having a good accuracy, or ensuring that you're going through mocks, so that you can keep the concepts revised and just see where you've gone wrong and you do not commit the mistakes. I think a lot of people also, see CAT as a very one day exam, and then, you kind of sort it, just get a percentile, and life is set. But I think the real grind begins once the percentile comes in and the
Yeah.
calls come in. So just a sneak preview, probably from you, Anshika, first, and then Rohit, just add in terms of what did you feel when you got these calls, and what kind of prompted you in terms of what next, how I'm going to go about it, how did you spend your next few days, and uh, how did you gear up for these interviews?
So, ma'am, when the CAT was done, like every aspirant thinks that, okay, now the journey is over, but actual journey starts after the examination. So once the scorecard was out, we kind of estimated our score and more or less guessed the lower level calls that we'll probably get. So based on that, I contacted few of my seniors and they suggested me to join Prepzone for my GDPI preparation. So that is when I think I enrolled in Prepzone in mid-December. That was like fairly early as compared to the other aspirants, and this possibly I think gave me some upper hand as compared to other people who were preparing for the interview, because by the time the actual or the major calls were out, I was at least in that interview preparation zone. And when I joined Prepzone, I realized it's not only current affairs that you need to prepare, but you need to prepare history, civics, geography, economics. You need to prepare all your graduation subjects. So there was a lot to cover, not just cover, but with a proper structured preparation. So starting early definitely helped me a lot. And I used to have a proper timetable of which subject to cover each day, so that I know how much is done and how much still is pending. This,
And
I
how
think,
about you, Rohit?
Yeah, ma'am.
You
So
know,
yeah, yeah. So pretty much what Anshika said. So I also got, I mean, recommended. I mean, Prepzone was recommended to be me by a senior, not a senior as such, somebody from LinkedIn actually. So
okay.
yeah, so I actually called up Shubham sir, and he said, okay, let's join in. Let you see how it works out. And then I joined in. So at initial days, it was like flooded with information. I was like, okay, after a hectic day of work, you log on to Discord and then you see too many things happening. So and then it was overwhelming at first, but because I joined around end December or something, I had enough time like to prepare for the whole thing. And by the time the calls were out, I was like already in a place where I was ready to start preparation, or at least get a direction of what to exactly look at. So yeah, so I would say that particular joining early was a good advantage that I had.
And in terms of when you joined the course, what was your expectation? What did you think, you'll get out of it? Why did you feel that this was necessary? Like probably like you mentioned that you didn't really take a very, very structured coaching class for your CAT preparation. Then why was GDPI different, and why did you feel that, this probably needed some sort of a
Guidance.
push or
Yeah.
a structured format?
So one thing I understood was like towards the end of CAT preparation, I actually felt overwhelmed, super overwhelmed, because I studied a lot, but then I didn't have a proper direction of somebody or to tell me that, okay, what you're doing this, I mean, what you're doing now is wrong, or what you're doing is the right thing. So it was just a guess. But by the time of GDPI, with like talking with a few people, I understood that, whatever the percentile, if you don't perform well in the GDPI, you're gone. So I understood that maybe I'll get the course that I want. So I just wanted to make sure that I'll like have a solid profile or solid like GDPI prep done, so that just because of GDPI I don't miss out on the things that I want. So that is where I felt okay, I need to enroll and then get the right guidance to take it forward from there.
Ma'am, adding to what just Rohit just mentioned, so a lot of people think that getting a percentile in CAT is the only thing you need to actually convert a call. But then I think I am the live example where even with a slightly lower percentile, if your interview is done pretty well, you can easily convert any of your calls, be it Ahmedabad or be it any other college. Because my Ahmedabad interview revolved around cow. So I was absolutely confident that I'm not going to convert it. But then since I was confident about my preparation and the other topics that were covered, so I think I was able to knock it off. So focusing on interview preparation is equally important as focusing on your CAT score and CAT preparation.
Mhm. Um, and I think interestingly, so the way I also recall my interview preparation experience and the journey that I kind of traversed, um, for me, this whole entire process was a very, very self-evolution process because, suddenly when you kind of spend so much time thinking about, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, probably that one moment of failure where things didn't go right, you kind of really dig deep in and you come up with a lot of instances which probably were just sitting somewhere in the head and they never came to the fore. And that for me was a very, very aha moment. So if possibly you both could give us an instance where in the process you suddenly realized, it just lit, or the bulb or the penny just dropped, that I am made for this, and what I'm doing right now makes a lot of sense to who I am. What would that be?
So Anshika, would you like to take it up?
Ma'am, that's a kind of a tricky question to answer, but so this is a very simple incident from my workplace. I was kind of given a client-facing role. I liked it more than the usual work that I was doing, but at that point, I never realized that okay, this is what I actually am interested in pursuing as a career, or maybe picking up this going forward. I started my CAT journey. Everything was done and dusted. I was preparing for interviews. So we have these HR questions to be written. So before that, I kind of wrote a 1,000, 1,200 words life summary of myself, like from the day I remember things, maybe 2, 3, 4 years old till date, whatever happened. While writing down that memory, I thought, oh shit, this is the point wherein I can get my YMBA answer from. I mean, that was kind of a moment for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I'd say my YMBA, I actually had a different answer in hand, but like the point where I decided to pursue an MBA was like, for me, I was thinking about like whatever Anshika said, right? We had an exercise where we were writing about ourselves. So in that particular point, there was like I actually held multiple positions of responsibilities in college, but I always thought that these things would add value to my technical profile rather than my managerial profile. So I've held multiple positions. I have like led a few teams, but at this particular point, when I thought, okay, why am I a good fit for an MBA? When I thought about those, I felt okay. I've enjoyed my time there. I enjoyed the whole process of leading the teams and engaging with teams. So that is when I realized, okay, this is the right stream, and I like actually took a right decision.
Wonderful. I think now we'll come to the main piece, and the one is, of course, your interview experiences. Anshika, would love to hear from you in terms of, so I'm sure, you've given a lot of interviews, mock as well as the real fields. If you could possibly, look back at them and give us a sense of the common threads that you see across them in terms of, it can be possibly the poise with which you have to answer, or is it possibly in terms of the structure of the questions that come your way? If there are certain common threads that you see across your interviews, and these are potentially the places where a candidate or an aspirant should focus on, what would those be?
So, ma'am, the common thing that comes across my mind is the very first HR question, which is tell me about yourself. Most of the interviews begin with that. And it's actually a reflection of your personality. I mean, any aspirant or any candidate who is giving the interview, even the panelist is interested in knowing how you are as a person. You might know certain concepts, you might not know certain points. That's totally fine. But knowing yourself, how clear you are in your thought process, and are you actually interested in pursuing an MBA, or are you being just a part of a peer pressure or something? So knowing about yourself is one thing which is very much important. Secondly, be confident in answering whatever the question is. It's okay to say, sir, I don't know, or ma'am, I don't know. But instead of giving wrong answers, one should focus on giving only the right answers, that too with utmost confidence. My personal learning from all these interviews is that knowledge can be gained, but you should have that appetite to learn, and you should always reflect that to the interviewer. They look for people who are actually willing to pick up new things as and when they come. Yeah, these are
Agreed.
the.
Agreed. Just throwing a different question, Rohit. I think just a very, very mirror image. So, we understand that, typically interviews flow around, tell us about yourself, and then they possibly, pick up stuff from that and the conversation ensues. But if you possibly could throw light on very different experiences if you've had in your interview journey, and, how they were starkly different, and yet how did you kind of continue to, be in the moment and ensure that you performed well?
Yeah. So my tell me about yourself had a particular sentence where I said I like to explore things. So during my
Hmm.
IIM Lucknow interview, I actually started and I said, okay, my name is Rohit Pradeep. I'm an engineer. And then I said, okay, I like to explore stuff. They stopped me right
Hmm.
there and then they asked me, tell me about something that you explored very recently. So I was actually taken a bit back at that point. And
Hmm.
randomly, one thing that came to my head was I like to explore food. And then they asked me questions on that line. Ran, okay, tell me exactly what you have had very recently. And then
Hmm.
I had to make up stuff in my head, but like because I was answering things with a very light and very conversational way, they were fine with it. They were laughing. I was also laughing, and then it went on that line. I think it was expected to be a pressure interview kind of a thing where they would go in detail, and then they asked me very random question. Right after this, they asked me like, "How is the president selected from the country?" And then like it was all over the place. But then because I was like,
Hmm.
okay, fine, no problem. You like in a very how is a law made and stuff like that. It was too random. But no, the thing is, if you are calm and you're able to say that, okay, sir, I don't know about that, but I can answer this, something like that. It actually helped me, I guess. And like yeah, towards the end they were really fun, and then the conversation took a very good turn. So yeah, I
Hmm.
felt that was one experience that was very odd compared to the other interviews.
Yeah. Um, and I think this is where now we would also want to understand from the two of you, how do you believe that the journey with Prepzone kind of helped you? And, what are the things that you love in the program? What are the possible things that you believe, can be brushed up or can be added so that, there's a more value addition to it? And anything that you believe that in this entire 2.5 months or 3 months that you spend with people, your mentors and your peer network, what sort of stuff are you taking back home?
So maybe I can take that up first. Yeah. So
Sure.
a few things that I understood was like joining Prepzone actually, like you're given the right resources. Like you have a lot of resource and you are made to choose what you want. Like you don't have to go through the whole thing. That you basically need to understand, okay, which industry are you from, or what area you're interested in, or things that you revolve around your life and profile. You are given resources. You basically need to select what you want. So I felt that Prepzone trains you to be able to do that. And also, in the process of equipping you with the right resources, they are actually enabling you to understand, okay, these are things that you should be taken, you should be taking throughout your life. Say, for example, I was not a person who used to read newspapers or, be updated with the current affairs or things that, like, even in my industry, I was not aware of things happening. I just knew the terms, but I didn't know what exactly it was. But then joining this course and then, getting into a peer where everybody is updated and everybody is learning together, sharing information, getting into a conversation. So that enables you to, go in depth into the stuff that actually, matters in your life and, are related to your profile. So yeah, I think Prepzone like basically equips you with the right resources and also guides you because of the mock interviews and everything. You're given the right direction. You are not wandering here and there. You get where, the exact direction in which you are here to walk. You just have to make sure
Mhm.
that you do the honest work.
Over to you, Anshika.
Adding to what Rohit just mentioned here, so another thing that I pretty much liked was the CA discussion part that used to happen on a fixed time every day. That not only made me disciplined, but it also motivated me to read more stuff, which I usually did not do. This also updated my current affairs. Apart from that, another striking thing which was very helpful is the technical concepts revision. So a lot of people here are engineers who graduated, and people have work experience of 1 or 2 years. So they are probably not in touch with the graduation subjects. So revising all 4 years of engineering all by myself was just an impossible task for me. But then we had a small group of people from the same background or same branch. We used to discuss questions and prepare this way. So that was pretty much helpful for me. Apart from that, I found a good group of friends which I'm going to have for my lifetime. So I'm thankful to Prepzone for that as well.
Wow, beautiful. Um, the most dreaded question I think is coming your way now, and would not only want an answer, but would also want a little bit in terms of why. And I think it's a beautiful conundrum to be in. I have never had the opportunity, so I'm absolutely enthralled to hear about it. Is it A, B, or C? What is it for you guys?
Yeah, Anshika, you can take that up.
Ma'am, people say that this is a very good choice, but then trust me, it's one of a very difficult decisions in life that one has to take. But for me, I think it's Ahmedabad only because I need that kind of discipline in my life, and I actually want to join a college to learn something out of it. And I think Ahmedabad focuses a lot on the academic. I'm not saying that not other colleges do it, but since Ahmedabad has a relatively stricter curriculum, I think that would help me transform as a better professional. So this is why I'm choosing A over B and C.
Great.
Yeah, so I'm choosing Bangalore. So,
Wow.
Bangalore has been my dream college from the start. And also, like I feel culturally, I fit much better at B than A or C. And I also looked into the curriculum and stuff inside the college. So I felt I fit much better at B than A. But letting go of A is itself hard, and C, of course. So yeah, it's a very hard choice, but yeah, something I would say, we have to let go of certain things to have certain things in life, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. Um, all I can say is I hope, and I'm sure you are making the right choices. You've done it so far, and this one also is going to turn out wonderfully. Just to close this, what we want to hear from you both is in terms of something that you would want people who are going to write CAT this November or are going to sit for the interview process or possibly are currently, just waiting for some kind of results to pour in, figure out which college to pick, how to go about it. Some also probably have not had the best experience and hence are, looking to rewrite CAT because they believe that there's much more that they can add to and, there's more potential in the bank. Just very very few nuggets of wisdom that you would want to pass on through this video to anyone who's going to be watching and hearing this.
So I'll take this up first. Talking about the CAT preparation, two important pointers. One is keep revising your mocks and most importantly, analyze them. So I had a friend of mine, he just wrote exams and he never went back and saw the solution. So this is never going to help. Always analyze the mocks. And second thing is do not get bogged down by the mock scores. They could be as low as 10 percentile or as high as 99 percentile. Things on D-Day can turn out to be very different. So mocks is just a reflection of your preparation, not how you are going to actually perform on the D-Day. So these two things should be kept in mind. Apart from that, interview start as early as possible. Do not take the December period as a free time to relax because I think that is the time wherein you can prepare all your HR answers and have an upper hand as compared to other people. So start early and do not take interviews lightly because almost all the colleges have a 50% weightage, nearly 50% weightage for the PI. So even if your CAT is not good or your profile is not very strong, but if your PI is decently well, you will be able to convert the calls. So yeah, these are the few points from my side.
Oh,
yeah, so from my side, I would say like whatever Anshika said regarding CAT, mocks is really important. You need to understand what your mistakes are rather than how much you have scored. So yeah, what else you have to fill in. So mocks, definitely keep that in mind. especially on the D day when you're taking the test. I've heard, like, I've had multiple, I mean, a few friends of mine who said that, you know, when they started DLR, they felt, okay, this time they'll not get through, and then they left it right away. I also experienced the same, like 15 minutes down the like DLR, I actually didn't have one question in hand. But then after that time was when I understood, okay, at least I've prepared this much. I'll make sure that I'll give my best till the very end. So, you know, at least the time till you finish your exam, make sure you're giving 100% of what you have. And regarding the PI, yes, whatever Anchika said. Plus, I would say, understand yourself as a person. You know, when you're portraying yourself to somebody else, make sure you know that you know who you are, rather than, you know, you putting out a fake persona. Make sure you're, you know, true to yourself, and then, you know, at least you'll be able to build on top of whatever you're answering. So yeah, that's
And it hardly takes 2 or 3 seconds for the panelists to understand whether you are lying or not.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's a very bad thing to put yourself in that position where you are lying and the panelist catches you.
Yeah.
So knowing yourself, I think that's more than enough to easily nail the PI, apart from staying a bit updated with the current affairs and certain topics which are, I think, common, and anybody who is preparing for PI must be aware of all those things. So.
Just one more thing I'd like to add is, like, if you like, if say one thing I've understood is, like, say if you prepare a particular topic, say you are from electronics background, you don't have to, what I felt is, you don't have to prepare about the whole electronics profile. I felt what I understood was, you are basically given a choice. I actually usually used to put out digital electronics as my choice of subject. So what they did was, I knew almost 9 out of 10 interviews would ask me questions from flip-flops. So what I prepared was mainly flip-flops, and then I went ahead with it. And almost all the interviews, I got topics from that. So you understand your subjects as well. Make sure, okay, because through the mocks, you'll understand what people generally prefer to ask you. So find that out and then prepare that thing very strongly. So yeah, I would say, like, go through, find your points, make sure you make those points perfect. That's it.
Great. I think this was a beautiful conversation. And I wish back then when I wrote CAT and probably I was sitting in the interview experiences, I had these wisdom pearls, and possibly I could have done my interview better, but no regrets on that end. Great, guys. Thank you. Thank you for taking out time, and wishing you both the very best. You have a momentous 2 years going forward, and we hope to see so much more from the two of you, not just limited to the 2 years on campus. Thank you. And for all of you who are watching this or listening to this, I think the two common themes that I can draw from the entire conversation is, one is persistence, that you just have to be there, do your best, and the second is know yourself. And if I think these two checks are, these two boxes are checked or ticked, I think you're in a good place to be. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay.